We have a good idea who the two quarterbacks are, and Jake Rudock is our starter. That's not a debatable question right now, and I don't foresee that changing. And it's the exact opposite of last year. We have two guys now that are experienced, that we have confidence in. Last year, neither guy was experienced. We have confidence, hopeful confidence in both guys, but it's a lot better after you watch the guys actually perform in competition. So happy about seeing what we saw last year. Happier about the attitude both guys have. I think they continue to grow. They're both improvement driven, and we thought they were better quarterbacks in the spring than they were back in January, and banking on that being the case this coming month, that they'll continue to improve.
Coach, when you go back and look at what Desmond King did for you last year, in retrospect, how amazing was that, and where do you think he can take the game?
Certainly questions about Desmond King is certainly not something that we foresaw, even in camp. We were pleased with the way he practiced and did some good things. You just never know what a guy's going to do in game competition. So for him as a true freshman to walk in there and do what he did and perform the way he did, at a very tough position, it's really admirable of him, and hopefully he'll continue to improve too. That's one good thing about young players. All players have a chance to improve. Younger guys can, I think, make more strides. And then, right, piggybacking on that, I think it's one of the neat things about camp. You hope that there's some good stories that will emerge. Be it older guys, might be a senior, might be a guy that's in his second year, or it might be a true freshman, and those are things that we'll try to, really keep a keen eye out for as the camp goes on.
Do you limit your running back touches at all going through these first couple weeks?
Are we going to, I'm sorry?
Limit your running back touches for Mark or Jordan or any of the guys?
Yeah, I think the challenge really for us there, and it's a little bit like the quarterback deal. 2 years ago, we didn't know if we had a Big Ten running back on our roster. Right now, I think we have 4 guys that we can put in a game and have confidence in. So I think that the challenge for us in that regard right now is to really figure out what the smartest way to use those guys would be during the course of the season. First and foremost, hoping we can keep them healthy and have that option, have 4 options in each game. Plus, we have a couple young guys coming up that we're eager to see more of this camp. And then, as I said in Chicago, I think probably you start with Mark Weissman. Mark, I think, is a really good runner and a really good football player. But it'd be really better for us if we could have him fresh in the fourth quarter of every game, plus the fourth quarter of the season. And we got to be careful about that. So I think the challenge right now is try to utilize everybody's skills to the best way possible, and also hopefully make it a combination that's going to be good for our entire team. It's nice to have some choices and options.
Coach, tight end position.
I'm sorry, we'll come right back.
I was just going to ask you, have 2 quarterbacks with different styles. Do you think when you look at other teams or plan, do you think each quarterback would fare better against a certain team because of their style?
Yeah, questions about the quarterbacks. I'm not sure I envision it week to week that way, but CJ is a little bit different and offers a couple different things to his repertoire maybe that Jake does. So that's something we'll evaluate over the next 3 weeks, and we're going to, if we can get a competitive edge, then we're going to try to utilize that. If not, we won't, but that's something we've kicked around the ideas during the out of season, and we'll see what happens over the next 3 weeks or so. But if we can find a way to maybe get a competitive edge, make it a little tougher for opponents to prepare, that'd be a good thing.
You talk about running back. What about the receivers? Do you have a core of them?
Yeah, I think we're healthier than we've been in the last couple of years. Certainly our depth is a little bit better at the receiver position. I think the competition's better, which makes everybody better. Camonte's our most experienced guy. I thought Devon really grew last year. Jake Hillier grew a lot. Matt Vandenberg did a nice job as a true freshman. Hopefully we'll get Damon Paul back very quickly. And we got some other guys climbing as well. So Derek Willis did a nice job as a first-year player. Guy that redshirted last year in the spring. And so hopefully it's a little deeper position than we've had in recent years. And when you have more depth, that gives competition, which I think makes all of them better, certainly. So keep our fingers crossed there.
You lost a guy to the NFL at tight end, but you've had 4 guys who played some for you. Do you like that position, and what separates, in your mind, what gets a guy in the field at that position?
Not to minimize anytime you lose an NFL caliber player, which CJ certainly was. That's hard to replace, but the good news is that we have a good core group there. And the other thing is, we like to use multiple tight ends in our attack, and I don't see that changing unless we don't have enough players out there. But I think right now we have 4 guys that we have confidence in coming out of the spring. All 4 of those players I thought improved. And Ray Hamilton's a guy, in my opinion, that is probably a little better than we think he is, maybe. And Ray's made some nice plays for us. He's done some really good things, and I think we've seen him grow last spring. And now that there's a little bit more opportunity out there for him, so I really expect Ray to take a big step forward. He's one of our seniors on offense that we need for leadership, and I think he's ready for that. He's a good football player, great young man, and right on down through. Jake Ducey certainly grew a lot last year. Henry had a good spring, and George did as well too. So I think we lose our outstanding player, but we have 4 guys that can help absorb that a little bit. It might be a little bit more committee work than one individual.
Do you expect to use multiple tight ends in the game?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, unless something happens.
Okay.
We got a situation in 07 where I think we threw Alan Reisner out there right after his 15th.
Like a 3 tight end set?
I'm sorry?
Like a 3 tight end set?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something we like to do and have available if possible.
Okay.
What did you do with Willie's, because he was kind of the spring sensation? Did you talk with him, or have the coaches talk with him to kind of keep perspective?
Bobby Kennedy coaches Derek, so I mean, they continually are conversing, and I said a couple of things to him too, but it's really not like we had to. I don't think. I'm not assuming anything, but I said that in Chicago. I violated the Buckley Amendment. You look at his grade point. To be over a 3.0 in both semesters, that's a really good sign, especially for a first-year player. And I haven't seen anything just watching him and observing him that would indicate he's acting any differently than did before spring practice. So the good news is I don't think he's overly impressed with what he's done. I think he realizes he hasn't made a catch yet in a varsity game here. I mean, he hasn't earned a letter. And I don't think he's out, trying to create a brand or something like that. I think he's worried about being a good Iowa football player, and that's refreshing. So, since he's been here, I've just been really impressed with his attitude. I hate to say too many nice things about a young guy that hasn't done anything, but he's just a guy that seems focused. He seems really serious about the things he should be serious about, and that really is encouraging. The other thing that was encouraging was the way he progressed and became more consistent during the course of spring. You guys had a couple snapshots of him, but we got to watch him for 15 days, and I thought he really grew, and that's exciting.
Chris Kirksey had kind of a versatile role. He was probably undervalued for what he could do as a linebacker and maybe a bulked-up safety. How are you going to try to do what he did? Is it going to take multiple players to play the one position?
Exactly, and it's like CJ. I mean, Chris he's an NFL caliber player, and I think unique about Chris, he could have played all 3 of those spots and played them all well. He's just not a lot of guys can do that. So he's got some unique skills that way. The other thing about Chris is just a really charismatic leader, and just brought a great energy to our team in every phase, not just out there in the field, but in the meeting rooms. Every time you see Christian, he just had a good vibe to him. So there's a lot going on there, and we lost a lot of good seniors that way. Not only good players, but guys that really brought a lot to the team in terms of intangibles. And that's part of the process right now. That's part of the rebuilding or replacing stage, whatever you want to call it. And that's one of the challenges we have, and that's a very dynamic process. And these next 3 weeks, we're going to need some more guys to emerge. We're not there yet by any stretch.
Speaking of 15-year-olds, when do you think you might know what you'll have in register?
He legitimately it's close. He's improved every turn, every opportunity. He was a better player in the spring. But all that being said, he is young, both chronologically and in terms of being on campus. So he does a lot of good things, and usually for the younger guys, part of the challenge is consistency and just more conceptual understanding of what's going on. It's something players develop throughout their career. So those are the challenges. He's working hard on them, and we're really eager to see what he does here in the next 3 weeks.
Coach, you're feeling good about the off-season conditioning, and how often do you communicate with Coach Doyle? Obviously, we all saw Brandon lift the house video. So
I was coaching him on that particular exercise. One thing that was new this year, we were able to actually watch our guys. Imagine that, not football coaches watching guys condition. Kind of a unique concept, but anyway, we were allowed to do that, which was really nice. We were also allowed to meet with them in the film room, and I think that's one rule that got interpreted about 130 ways based on conversations that I've been privileged to hear. So we didn't do much of that. We kind of, to me, the summer's more for Chris Doyle and his staff. but it is fun to watch the guys train and watch them work and just see how they handle things. And I'm really pleased with the physical part. I think has been really good. I think the mental part right now, we've got a ways to go, and that's we're in shape right now to start practice. That part's great, and now we got to get in football shape, but we also have to keep growing. In terms of our mental toughness, and chemistry, teamwork, all those kinds of things. We got a lot of work to do.
Kirk, what gives you the confidence in Quentin Alston's ability to kind of step into the game?
Some guys just make you feel good, and two springs ago, if you'd asked me about Q, I would have said had some concerns because he just kind of was doing okay out there, and okay is not good enough for a guy that's going to be playing middle linebacker. So to the point where I'm not sure where we're at here. One of those deals. And then he really flipped it around. And that was going into 2 springs ago. And then 2 springs ago, boy, he just took off. I mean, and it's interesting in coaching. It's probably the same way in education. But people have different points where they just kind of get ignited a little bit. And I don't know what Pat Anger went through the same thing. To draw an analogy. So when you see that light come on or the switch flip a little bit, it's fun. And that's what we've seen now from two different springs from Q. I think last year, had he not been behind 3 very good players, he would have played very well. I'm very confident in saying that. And I kind of feel the same way about Jordan Lomax. And Jordan was a starter a year ago, and then had an injury take him off the field. So both those guys just give you a good feeling. They work extremely hard. They're very they're accepting of the leadership role, and they push hard out there. So we've seen a lot of good things from him in practice. Now Quentin hasn't played a lot on first, second down, so that's going to be an adjustment for him. That every player goes through it, and I think he'll handle it really well. Plus, he's an older, mature guy.
Coach, could you talk about Brandon a little bit? He had some great linemen come in here. Just where does he rank in there, and what does he bring to the team?
He's got some really outstanding physical tools and skills, and anytime you say that, you hate but he does. I mean, he's unusual. He's not an average guy by any stretch, but a big part of that is because he's worked so hard to develop what it is he has, and I think that's where I always start with Brandon. I just think about his attitude and his work ethic. He's very improvement driven. He's a high effort, high work ethic type player, and he's all about teammates. He's all about what's around him, and I think that was probably a factor in him.